In the beginning of our parsha, Beshalach, the Torah tells us, Vayhi Beshalach Paro et ha'am, it was when Pharaoh sent out the nation, V'lo nacham Elokim derech eretz plishtim. Hashem did not nacham, did not lead them the way of the land of the Philistines. Ki karovu, because it was close. Ki amar Elokim, because Hashem said, Pen yinachem ha'am beretam milchama, maybe the nation will reconsider when they see war. V'shavu mitzrayim, and they will go back to Egypt. So Hashem here expresses a concern that the nation will turn around when they see war. In fact, as Rashi points out right here, we see later in the Torah that there were times the Jewish people were very ready to head back to Egypt. And so Hashem is understandably concerned that they might do so. He takes them another way. However, the Midrash points out that there's more to this. You notice that the word nacham is not quite so easily translated. Nacham can come from the word nach, which means to rest, can be related to the word nachama, which means comfort, and it can also mean to lead. But it's not the word we usually use when we're speaking about leading somebody somewhere. Could have said lo hidrichami, did not guide them, lo hinhilami. There's various reasons, the various different words we could have given. And so the Midrash reads into here a different understanding. And it says that there was a king who had a son who was kidnapped. And the son was kidnapped and beaten up in captivity. And the king eventually managed to send a team of commandos to kill the kidnappers and get his son back. And he says, even though the son was completely happy and rejoicing for his salvation, the king was still worried and concerned. And he said, what a terrible thing that this happened to my son. What a difficult thing, and how he's preoccupied with thoughts of the well-being of his son, even after the event. So the Midrash says that's the same story over here, Lo nacham Elokim, that it relates this word nacham not to lead them or guide them, but to nachama, to consolation. Hashem was not consoled. Even after the exodus from Egypt, Hashem was somehow lacking in consolation. And the Maggid of Dubna takes this Midrash and explains it. He says, true, the Jewish people were freed from slavery, but we need to realize that there was lasting damage done by the oppression and torture of the Egyptians. That as wonderful as it was that we survived, it came at a cost. The Jewish people would have to pay that price of survival, even years down the line. So, for example, we find that the exodus from Egypt cost the Jewish people spiritually. The Midrash says that there are 50 levels of impurity, of ungodliness, and that the Jewish people during their time in Egypt had dropped all the way down to number 49, that they were within a hair's breadth of becoming completely spiritually destroyed. That was one of the costs. That was what they had lost by being in exile in Egypt. And Hashem was aware of that and didn't want to push it any further. But we need to know for ourselves, as painful as it is, we need to acknowledge that all of the things that the Jewish people survive, and all of the times that they even triumph and are victorious, it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost, and that cost must be paid even after the initial victory. We have, unfortunately, no shortage of tragedies in Jewish history, and even today, with all of the difficulties and struggles that we're going through in Israel, we mustn't think the cost is simply what's on the battlefield. We mustn't think the cost is simply our young men and women who are going off to risk their lives in defense of our nation and of our country. We must realize that even when they get back, people are often scarred by what's happened. That the whole of Egyptian society, the whole of Israeli society is paying for a price in the same way that they did even after they came out of Egypt. And on the flip side, we must think about it in our own lives. When we have personal struggles, we must be sensitive not only to the struggles and overcoming the struggles, but after we've come through a difficult time, we must ask ourselves, what price have I paid? How am I doing? Where am I at? Because after the Egyptian exile, Hashem knew he still had to be sensitive with the Jewish people. And the final application of this idea is with the people close to us. People close to us who have come through a difficult time, and maybe we've been wonderful and we've supported them and we've helped them. But you need to know that even once things are okay, very often scars remain. And we need to do what we can to continue to support, help, and guide them. Have a wonderful Shabbos.